All right, so today we're doing mental health. We're going to talk about what that means. We have Keith Crowder, who is a mindset coach, and we have Jessica Brito, who is going to actually talk to us about the mindset and certain things that she has gone through to help elevate and get her out from a low place, mentally. So everything that we say is just very sporadic. We're just kind of going with the flow, having a conversation, hoping that anything that resonates, you can take and apply it to your life and that it helps in some way, somehow. So, welcome. I'm Joanna Crowder, metaphysical counselor, and I'll be pitching in about the mind and how that relates to consciousness and spirit realm. So, let's start.
Nutrition, mindset, aka life coach, and physical fitness as well, a personal trainer.
Cool.
I'm Jessica Brito, and I'm in the beauty industry. I do a little bit of everything with skincare.
A little bit of everyone from different places of life. We were talking earlier, Jessica and I, about what is mental health, right? Like we have different definitions of it, and many people, because of the different definitions, we look at it with so many different perspectives that it was good to hear. I liked hearing how she said it because it was her interpretation of it. And so can you tell us a little bit about your interpretation of what mental health is and how it applies to all of us and what you've been through?
Um, First, I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go with what I've been through in order
Okay.
to get to the mindset that I'm in now, or trying to achieve. And I was clinically diagnosed years ago with major depression. So, and at first I was in denial about it because I didn't understand. I didn't feel like it because being from a Latin community, that's just straight crazy. I'm gonna call it how it is. And I was like, well, I'm not technically crazy, so I don't understand what that meant. Um, and I started to understand a little more from just reading and understanding what does major depression and bipolar depression means in general. And I got to a conclusion in my life at one time that I had to accept it, that I'm just going to be like that, that's the only way to cure it is by medication, and I'm going to be on it forever. And then I learned that no, I don't have to, by learning how to meditate, learning how to listen to just positive thinking of yourself, your self spirit. And then I kind of saw it as, well, it's kind of like when a person is diagnosed with an illness like cancer, and they'll say, well, you have two people that are diagnosed with this cancer, and they're both terminal. One is told, they're both told, you're gonna get, you only have a few months to live. One patient takes it as, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. And the other one's like, oh well, I'm gonna do the best of it and live the 30 days or how many months they're giving me for me until I go. The one that just took it as, oh my gosh, that's it, that's the end of my life, actually got sicker or died quicker. The other one either lasted up until or more the time passed, or the illness was cured. So I was like, wait a minute. So if I take this, uh, diagnosis as it's just a diagnosis, and I am in charge of how I feel and how I'm going to take it, how I'm going to look at it, maybe I'll kind of work through it. And that's when I started doing the whole meditation, and I try yoga, but it's not my best thing. But I started, I listened to a lot of positive things. I'm not an advocate reader as much unless something really, really interested me, but I'm a listener. I love listening, and I watch a lot of stuff, and that helped me a lot. I don't think I'm there completely, but I feel like I have more control, that I can at least, when I feel a low vibrating kind of
Feeling?
sense, and
Yeah.
yeah, then I'm like, oh, hold up, stop. But I also don't um, kind of beat myself up when I do have a low moment, because I tell myself, look, if a 2-year-old could have a tantrum, I could have a tantrum for a day. Like, let me just express it, let it all out, and it's healthy to let it all out. And then, because I was always taught that we're not supposed to express too much. Whatever's behind closed doors stays behind closed doors, and you just put on a happy face for the whole world.
And see, that's a problem, because we have been taught that, but then we are suppressing our emotions. We're suppressing everything that we feel. We don't know how to handle it. We don't know how to handle the fears, the anxiety. So we keep pushing it and pushing it, but eventually that's going to come up, and then it's going to be like 10,000 times worse. And you're looking at it in your face and you're going, where did this come from? Or, what did this rage? It wasn't about, that little thing. It was deeper, and it was because of all these held emotions that we're taught to suppress and put a band-aid on it. And that's what, like, the medicine, like, suppress it, suppress the pain, but you're not ever getting to the root of it. And the mind is like, if you don't get to the root of the problem in your mind, it's just gonna like be there and be there. So yeah, that's a problem nowadays, until now that we're starting to speak up about how we feel and letting it out in different ways. What are some ways that you've...
Well, we were actually, my daughter, we were talking to our daughter about this, because she had mentioned that some of her friends find her to be, what's the term she used? Not overbearing. That's not really, but she's
She's
taught
more
her,
authentic, I guess.
yeah, we taught our kids, when you have a problem, speak your mind, be respectful, say it in a nice way, but don't hold in your emotions. And as she's getting older and starting to develop relationships with her friends, she's telling us that her friends don't know how to handle it, because they've been taught to repress, right? And I think as parents, we kind of repeat what we've been taught, or what we learned as kids, how we were parented. And I know I found myself doing that a lot, to where, if she gets emotional, this is in the younger years, not so much now, but if she responds back with an attitude, I'm like, hold up, don't give me an attitude. But yet I'm giving her an attitude, which it doesn't, come on. Like, that just teaches dominance, right? Right. And so I thought that was cool, because her mindset, we've taught them, especially as they got in their teenage years, express yourself. Let's talk about it. Don't hold it in. And it's been interesting to hear her relationships with her friends, and how, how all that's kind of unfolded, and how she deals with it, and kind of how they.
But it's just so much healthier to let it out,
It is. Yeah. It is. And it's funny, because I don't have children. I've always wanted children. And but the way I've wanted children is to bring them up in a way I wasn't brought up, not to be fearful, not to be dominated, and not to be suppressed by our feelings. I was always told that I was the butterfly of my family. I'm the one that's super sensitive, and I take everything too hard. That was my mom's thing to me. And why couldn't I be like my sister? Like, she could, like, say whatever to her, or do whatever to her, and she would just say, oh, do you want dinner? And everything's fine. Like, nobody talked about it. Yet me, I would hold a grudge, because she's like, you're just such a grudge holder. I'm like, I'm not a grudge holder. Just, I don't understand why I got yelled at, why I got hit, and we don't talk about it. Like, how am I going to correct something that I don't even know if I'm doing right or wrong? So it was always like, is this right? Is this wrong? Is she going to get mad? How's she, So it was just so annoying. And I was always told that I was the grudge holder. I'm like, it's not that. It's just, so I feel like, in a way, I'm glad that God didn't give me that child now at the time that I wanted it. And now that I'm 39, I'm here like, if I had a kid now, oh, my kid's going to be awesome.
We say that now after having 2 kids. Like, if we had a kid now, knowing what we know now, it would be a totally different kid. Because it's the mindset that we bring them up in. Like, when our kids were little, we were still pretty much waking up. We were still dealing with our own issues. I mean, we've been together 23 years, 22 years. And in the beginning, they had to be around us when we were still kind of figuring out who we are. And I think what happens is we are all brought up a certain way. And then when we get out of our homes and we start to figure out who we are as a person, we start realizing, okay, I'm not my mother. I'm not my father. I'm not these people that said I was who I am. Who am I? And a lot of people don't get to the point of asking themselves, who am I? Who am I really? Like, what are my thoughts versus somebody else's thoughts that were programmed into me that I wasn't aware of because I was 6 years old and I was just taking in what I was told, and I wasn't aware that maybe that person was wrong, and maybe now I have a belief based on something that someone told me that was incorrect. And how many people go through that and they're not aware that they still haven't figured out who they are yet, or how their mind works, you know? And I was just watching a video that I want to post in the page about the mind and how it relates to the Bible, and how the Bible is all about the mind. Fascinating. It's the metaphysical interpretation of everything, and it's all about the mind, like the psychology of how our mind works, you know? There was a book, what's the book that you said that got you out of patterns that you read?
Oh, that'll be good.
I don't remember. That's what we on the spot.
It's the cycle loop something.
Oh, the habit loop.
Yeah.
The habit loop. Yeah, the habit loop.
That one, the habit.
The avenue?
The habit loop, HABITLOOP. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because we don't realize the patterns that we have going on until we like look at them and observe. All of this is just awareness, you know? Awareness of our mind, awareness of where we are. Like, are we feeling this way? Is that based because we're thinking about the past, so we're depressed? Are we thinking about the future, so we have anxiety? Like, are we in the present so that we're grateful? Like, where are we in our mind at any given moment? Are we aware of where we are mentally? You know, most people
That'd be something good, the whole habit thing, because I learned that I have a habit that it seems like I can't break, and I'm pushing myself to break it. Because the thing is, I don't live in the present. I don't know how to live in the present. I only live in the future, and I always live in the past. I don't know how to live in the now. So my patterns, like right now, we're in quarantine, right? So this has been a blessing. Right now, I'm at the level of, meditate and time for me, because I have zero distractions right now. Nobody's bothering me. Nobody needs me. I don't have to go nowhere. So now I have my time. But this is the problem. Once this thing goes back to normal, that's the challenging part for me, because once we get back to normal, I could probably handle a week or two, and then I go back to my same self.
But see, you're
And I'm trying to
already
break it.
talking about the future.
No, I know. I'm
Of
not.
how
I'm not
it's
saying
going
that.
to be. Hold on. Of how it's going to be when things go back to normal. But the thing is, what if things don't go back to normal and it's a different new way of being? Where you get to incorporate how you want things to be, because you can create how you want your future.
No,
And now
exactly.
would be the time to pave that, instead of looking at.
That's what I'm doing it. That's what I'm trying to do. Like right now, I'm gonna call this my new normal, because I really don't know when everything's gonna go back to normal.
It
But
won't.
I'm just saying, I've noticed that the times that I've done my moments of, okay, I need to self-reflect and meditate and all this stuff, I've done it. And then 2 weeks into doing it, a month into doing it, I automatically go back to my crazy self. Everybody needs me. I need to be there. I need to do this. And I'm like, dude. So I'm telling myself, girl, you better break that habit and make this like your priority.
Consistency.
Yeah.
It's like we take a shower. We take a shower as consistency, right? We brush our teeth consistently because we were taught, hey, take care of your teeth, take care of your body, wash yourself. Do we not take care of our mind or our spirit? Does our mind not need to rest? We charge our phones because our phones need to be charged because they're drained. But our minds aren't drained with 70,000 thoughts that are going by each day, and we don't even get a chance to go, oh, I don't need this one. Oh, I do need this one. Wait, what is this? Hold on. What is this thought right here? And what does this have to do with? And then dive deeper into it. Do we get a chance to do that? No, but we sit there and do that with our phones because that's more important. And it's not. Like, no one's looking at their mind the way that they should, like it's the most important thing. Do you agree?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think you said something earlier about awareness, and I think back to the kind of the programming everybody knows subconscious and what that means, but you have to connect the dots to where your subconscious mind programs the path of least resistance, right? And it programs, what you grew up in your environment, so that it replicates when most of the time, either when you're the angriest, when you're basically the most emotional, right?
Mhm.
So, it's hard to catch yourself because you immediately go into that subconscious programming when you're in a high emotional state. But, for me, I know in my journey, because I have a temper, still do. And, I mean, it's something that I've just recently gotten control of in the past probably 2 to 3 years. But what helped me is becoming aware in the moment, right? So it's almost like, you hear people talk about out of body experiences and they sort of see themselves above themselves in that moment. It's not so much that in terms of being aware, but it's being aware that you're just replicating that subconscious programming. And it's a choice, but you have to become aware of that choice in order to recognize it, one, and then to make a different choice. Because most of us just go, subconscious mind fires, and we act out everything we've been taught in that path of least resistance. And that awareness, that's the kind of awareness that I think is important to taking that first step into mental strength, is becoming aware in high emotional states of the subconscious programming. And then it's like amazing. You disconnect from it and the emotion drops and you go, this is stupid. This is dumb. And you kind of get your rational mind back, and then you can start making changes.
So most people don't get to that point because they're already emotional. So then you're fogged up. You can't see clearly once you're emotional. You just can't see clearly. So you got to see it before that, so that you can recognize when you're getting close to it.
Yeah, and I think meditation too. I mean, you had mentioned you've been doing a lot of meditation, because in meditation you have to silence thought. I think it trains you to be able to do that in high emotional states easier, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Right? I meditate 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. If I can get control of my mind, then in those high emotional states, you can gain control faster because you've trained it.
To
You've trained to
observe.
separate the ego and your true self, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That I imagine. I used to think meditation, it was like you just do it in the morning and that's it. No, you do it at any time, any place, anywhere. And I've
And that
noticed
a lot
I've
of
done it
people,
more than once in a day.
yeah, a lot of people, because they are associating meditation with sitting in a certain position and all this stuff, and they're considering it new age and all that. Like literally sometimes I could be standing there in front of, wherever I am, and I'll just close my eyes for 5 seconds, and those 5 seconds turn into like 2, 3 minutes, and I'm standing here in my own, even though I'm not sitting, I'm not, like in the typical, and that's still meditation. Like it's just taking the time to just rest your mind, because we don't get a chance to do that. And you know, going back to the Bible, regardless of which religion you are, because all of the ancient books say the same thing. It's the story of the ego and the spirit, the left brain and the right brain, the east and the west. It's to the right hand, to the east. Everything is about how to reach that point of view, which is all they consider it to be right, the right hemisphere of your brain versus the left. The left is all logical, it's all thinking, it's all your senses, versus the right is just spirit, it's pure, just nothingness. And that's what we need to get to, but we're always caught up in the distraction, you know so a lot of
Yeah.
people are still stuck with meditation being something that they're just not looking at it as, hey, it's just close your eyes and just rest your mind for a little bit.
Yeah, because I was like, I have to fit meditation into my schedule. Like you fit exercise into my schedule. Because I work everything on my left. So everything to me has to be on schedule.
Right.
And I don't know how to go with the flow. And talking to you, and I feel like I've been, you know, it's gonna be 2 years that I've been walking to this new awakening, that I've been actually listening to myself, even though, don't get me wrong, at the beginning, I'm like, I have to be going nuts, because nobody else shares the same thing as me, and I don't
Right.
even know where to go to. So obviously now I went to you, right? But you helped me by like, just go with the flow. Because what was the first thing I asked you? Well, how do you do it? You're like, there's no script for it. You just, whatever you feel like going to sleep longer, get up early, fine, walk, don't walk, don't do, it doesn't matter. And that I never knew how to do because everything was on a schedule, you know. And if it wasn't on schedule, you will get the wrath of me. Okay. Okay. So
It's funny though, because there's such a balance though. Like nature doesn't have a schedule, but it does. You know what I mean? Like it does its thing, but it still has spring, summer, fall, winter, and it still does it in a cycle, you know, and it's still the same exact way. But it goes with the flow. Like you can't tell the birds where to go, like at what time, they just go, you know?
Because when we're exact opposites in terms of she's free thinking, free spirited. I'm more like you, at least I used to be, regimented, on schedule. This has to happen at this time, blah blah blah. Because how can you live life otherwise, right?
Yeah.
But you know, of course, so she kind of introduced me to go with the flow, and I'm like, what does that even mean, go with the flow, right? And so what helped me, and hopefully if anybody can resonate with this or if it sticks with you, is instead of thinking of it as go with the flow, because I don't even know what the hell that means. I thought of it more in terms of intuition, right? And we all
Yeah.
know what that means, and we all get feelings and that little voice inside your head, whatever. But I think it's being open enough, have a schedule, but be open enough to make it sort of, you know, let it flow and let it change and ebb and flow. Of course, you keep appointments with people; those are things you don't argue with. But if I'm scheduled to walk in the morning and I get up and it's like, nah, you know, you don't feel like it or whatever, or you hear a voice in your head. Help me out, I'm struggling. You hear a voice in your head and you listen to it and it sort of will guide you towards that path. And this is stupid, but for me it was the thing that taught me this was stop signs and stoplights, right? If the light's green, keep going straight. Even if I'm gonna make a left, you know what? I'm gonna keep going straight because the light's green. And I learned as I did that, it helped me sort of recognize the voice, number one, because sometimes you don't know if it's the good voice or bad voice, you know, like good guy, bad guy on the shoulder. But as stupid as that sounds, like listening to letting the universe show me through stoplights kind of made that agreement. And it helped me. Yeah, it was in the very beginning, and it helped me go, okay, I get this. So now, you know, I may have an appointment to call somebody at 1 o'clock, and then there's a little voice, nah, now's not a good time. And then at 3 o'clock, 2 hours later, it's like, now call. And then once you start doing that and letting that flow, you start to see that, oh my God, there's something to this. Right.
You can hear it more and more, and it becomes easier. It's like you can recognize which is which. You can recognize, you know, your ego versus your spirit speaking. It's more subtle versus more direct. Okay. True. And so let me give you an example of what going with the flow means, that I heard once that really resonated with me. And that was, pretend you go to work and you pretend, because most people aren't going to work right now. Pretend you go to work and you come home and the furniture moved all on its own, right? And you're like, I want the furniture to go back. So you spend all this energy putting the furniture back to how it was. And you're drained, and now you're like sitting there after moving all the furniture. You go get up the next day, go to work again, you come home, the furniture moved again. Here you go doing it again. Okay, you're following the same loop because you're like stubborn and you're like, I want my furniture this way. But then eventually, like on the fourth day, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna let it do its thing. And you got home and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna sit here, but I'm gonna look at it, my living room, from a different angle because the furniture moved. So, you know, whatever. And the more you do that every day and it keeps changing and you keep sitting there watching the living room from different perspectives, you learn from it and you don't waste any energy and you're not drained. You're actually in acceptance of what everything is and you're just enjoying it. So you're going with the flow versus draining and wasting time and energy and effort making something be a certain way, you know?
Yep.
That to me stuck with me because I was like, okay, I accept the furniture however it wants to be. I'm not moving it.
Don't get me wrong. Since the last time we spoke, we spoke on January 14th. You won't know, but I do because I have it scheduled, right? Because I had that week before, which was January 7th of this year, after everybody in the house went back home for the holidays and everything, that day I felt so like in the lowest vibration you could ever find me for 3 days. And the only reason that on the third day I was like, oh no, is because literally I was contemplating, and this is not the first time, but I was already uh the first day I was feeling really down. The second day I was already experiencing thoughts of suicide, which is a normal thing of mine for years. Okay. Then I started contemplating. That's when we have a problem, because now I've gone past the finish line or very close to it, or safe zone. And I was like, okay, no, no, this has to stop. And what shook me, okay, which I've never had, what shook me is that I got to see, I had this vision in my head. I didn't see myself go, but I love my husband. We've been married for, it'll be 15 years now. But we've been together for 20 something years. And he is like the peace part of me. And I actually saw his eyes in my vision, like sad. And I knew it was because I wasn't there. So I felt the feeling of his sadness through
Right.
his eyes. And that freaked me out, because that's the last thing. Like, the way I work on these low vibration moments where I feel suicidal or stuff like that, it's not that, because a lot of people are like, oh, suicides, you guys are selfish. That's selfish. How could you think about yourself and not think about anybody? No. And I tell people, if I could, I don't want anybody to experience that. But when you're in a suicidal mindset, you don't think about anybody. You think about yourself. You think about just stopping the mind, stopping the thoughts, stopping the
Pain.
feelings. That's all it is. That's all you want. But the thing is that I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't have an addictive uh, personality in the sense of drugs and alcohol. I don't. Okay. So it's like, you know what? We got to stop it. How you stop it? You just have to just kill it, you know? And but it hurts me more when I see the people that I love hurt. That that hurts me more. That even adds more to the pain and the thoughts for maybe I should just leave so that way I won't cause any more pain. But I know if I leave, it's gonna cause pain anyway. So it's like, where am I? And that's when I was like, you know what? What is your problem? That day I woke up, I said, what is the problem? What is yeah, like what is your problem? Why you keep going to this? Like if you loved him so much and you feel like like that he makes you so happy. And I'm not saying to look for a person to make you happy, but to be honest with you, completely honest with you, I feel like my spirit had died a long time ago. Okay. And that my body's just walking around. Okay. And I feel that the love of people that love me is the oxygen that's keeping me alive. Completely honest. So I feel like, okay, I've been on this oxygen, but I want to breathe on my own. But how do I breathe on my own? And I didn't know. I don't know how to do it. So but I feel this tug because inside of me for the almost 2 years has been, yo, you need to wake up. You need to wake up to your true self. You cannot be scared of using your story. Like this is not a shameful thing. This is not a shameful
We all
thought.
go through it. And I think a lot of people just don't talk about it. I mean, he was there through how old was I, babe? 16, 17 years old? Where I actually went through with it. And he was there by my side after a minor misinterpretation / breakup, and at that moment, I didn't think of anything and I didn't care. And it was just, but I was young too. I mean, like, so we're not even aware of how that impacts anything, like I think a lot of us go through that and then we're just, but that, it changes us. It
It
changes us.
does.
Like I when that happened, I had been drinking when I was young, and I stopped drinking after that because they had to pump my stomach. It was crazy, whatever. And I said, okay, I'm not going to drink out of being in a low vibration. If anything, I'll drink, wine, glass, whatever, with friends, but never when I'm feeling bad.
Hmm.
That's how it started. Eventually, I stopped drinking altogether, but that's what, so we never know what experiences or thoughts lead us towards changing our lives for the better, because we see ourselves hitting rock bottom and we're like, we're never going to go hit that bottom, ever again. Like, we don't want to go there. Sometimes
Yep.
it takes that, and some people are scared of that, you know. But I think
Yep.
when you are at your worst is when you go to find God, and you find that you really do need to go inside yourself to find it, you know.
Yeah. To find the best, to find your you, because then I realized I don't like injustice. Not for myself, because I've come from an abusive background, and I don't like the injustice. So I sat up and I was like, you know what it is? Is that the thing is that you don't like injustice, but you do an injustice to yourself. You know, you're supposed to be. You went through this so you can help others. Because I'm living now, right now. I have family members, I have friends, okay, of all ages that are experiencing this depression and feeling suicidal, and they're in the beginning stages of where I was, you know, that you still don't even know where to put the puzzle or even start the puzzle.
Right.
Okay.
Where everything feels
So
upside down.
yes, and then and then their spouses or their friends and family are trying to help, but they don't know how to, and they don't know how to tell them to help. So then they come to me, or I'll call to them random, you know, and I'll give them a word of advice, or something that helped me, and that inspired them. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is what I'm here for. Maybe this is why I had to go through that, to at least recognize people that are going through it, and at least give them, not tell them what to do, but at least give them hope that I'm not
Some
completely
guidance.
there. Yeah, but at least these are steps that I've taken, and maybe if you feel like there's something that I said that you could take for yourself and try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then move on to something else. Then fine, because I mean, how much advice can you give a person? You know, you could give and give and give so much advice, but until they're ready to take it, it doesn't even matter, you
Right.
know?
And I know that because I'm constantly, you know, I have people that would come see me, and they would come see me, and every other week we'd sit down and they would say the same thing. And they're like, I know you're tired of hearing this. And it's like, my answer is still going to be the same. So, you know, and it's just because they're not changing their habits. They,
Yep.
they, they hear the answer, but they're not willing to do what it takes to make the changes. So they just come back to see if there's another answer that will make them feel comfortable. And it's like the answer is still the same. You have to go within yourself. Everything is within yourself. You're going to find
Yep.
out within yourself. I can't help. I can show you the way. Here, the way is go within yourself. That's it. You
And
know,
you know,
that's what's going to help you.
that's why there was times that I was afraid to call you, because every time I felt like calling you, I'm like, what am I gonna tell her? Like, I'm gonna tell her the same thing. She's gonna be like, Dios mío, here she goes again.
But you know what?
You
I
know?
have a lot of people that tell me, like, I hear you in my mind saying, just meditate. And I'm like, good. At least you hear me, because you know I'm going to tell you that. So you might as well just not even call me and just know that the answer is meditation.
Yeah.
What are some tips?
Yeah, I know. Like we were talking about this, life coach mindset earlier before we started, and back to the awareness thing is that I think, and I'm not discrediting science or depression or any of those things, but when we label something, we
Mm-hmm.
we allow ourselves to blame someone else. Now it's, oh, I have this affliction or I have this problem, right? And it's not to downplay that it's a problem, but what happens is you give away your ownership. I
Power.
think your power, right? And so now we're looking externally for antidepressants, for advice, for an ear to listen to, when at the end of the day, nobody teaches us how to go inside. Like she said, go inside, and that's true of, in my opinion, God. It's true of, our own personal relationships with ourselves. Whenever we have a problem, if we know how to quiet our minds and just allow the problem to sit with us, a lot of times the solutions will come. But we've just been taught to do the opposite of everything, and giving away our power by not, number one, accepting responsibility, and number two, back to the depression and suicide. I think everybody has those thoughts. Everybody goes through those feelings. It's just a
It's
varying
human
degree.
nature.
Right.
Like, who doesn't? I don't know who doesn't. Or they just haven't got to that point. I feel like they all do. So, I mean, I don't like labels. People like to put me in a box and say, oh, I just got someone that on social media saying, I know you're kind, you snake doctor or snake medicine or something. It was hilarious to me because they don't know. They're putting me in a box, and I'm like, I'm not that kind. Like, I dabble into everything because everything is everything, you know, like we're all one. Like, I want to know about everything, but
That's true.
everyone has a different perception of each of us. You know, how many people, some people, you look at me like I'm a good thing. You know, we were talking about this before, like people's interpretation of when they first see me is, oh, she's stuck up, she's this, she's that, look at like all these bad things. And it's not until you like take out the layers that you start to see what's behind. And I just don't let that many people, you know, get there, because I'm kind of like checking them out, checking their vibe and stuff, but I get misinterpreted a lot. And so how many people out there view me as like this evil person, and how many people view me as, hey, she's helped me? Do I care about the ones that think that I'm bad when I've helped people? No. You know, as long as you help one person. So like you're saying, if you went through all that and at the end of the day you've helped others, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. You had mentioned the tip. Here's a tip. Next time you're upset, next time you're emotional, next time somebody pisses you off, cuts you off in the grocery line, whatever it is, stop and understand that God is trying to mirror your own issue with yourself back to you. And if you take that approach, suddenly
Everything's a mirror.
everything's a mirror. Then you can start making some gains. You can start taking steps forward. But the minute you get your guard up, get emotional, fire back, try to get back at them or whatever, you're just in a loop, a habit loop of self-destruction.
And then you're just gonna see it more around you, because it's still trying to, hey, wake up, look, this is you doing it. And you just need to look back like this is a movie and go, what is this person in doing this role of Joanna doing? Like, observe.
And
you
it's
know?
true of parents, your children, your spouse, your friends, random people. You know, so it's like Joanna, and talking about herself, she gives off this vibe, but that's just because people got so many issues with themselves.
Yep, it's true.
Right?
It's true.
Not saying I don't have issues.
Yeah, we all do.
But I know that a lot of stuff that I get is a projection of how they feel.
And it's funny because I get a lot of, oh my gosh, you give me the feeling of peace, and you give me the feeling of you got it all together. And when I open up to situations that I've had, they're like, I didn't know you went through all that. You don't look the part. And it's so funny because I'm like, I guess going like this and feeling sad and looking all, you know, horrible. But I'm here like, I can't, I just, that's just not, I mean, I don't want to give the people, I like the fact that people think that I'm, you know, have it all together, and I give them peace and all. But then that's why it scares me. I guess that's what scared me to open up, because it's like, hold up. They see me as I got it all together. They see me that I'm at peace. And if they find out the mess that I really go through when I'm in my dark moments, like, what are they gonna think? You know what I'm saying? Not saying that that's where I'm at now, but that's what I felt before.
Right.
And that's
because it's a process. It's a process of like getting to see yourself from different angles and going, hold up, wait, what am I doing? You know, the water was getting up there in the water fountain, so he had to turn it down. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, there's levels to this, and we're all kind of figuring out what is what. And I think we all, since we've walked different shoes and we've have different experiences, you can't go around asking. I mean, you can get guidance, but don't expect the answer to come from somebody who hasn't walked in your shoes, because the only one who has is inside of you. And that's the only one who's going to know how to guide you. You know, what is the light that will guide me towards where I need to go? You know what I mean? And you can ask yourself constantly, like, any decision, it's left or right. Which way do I go? And if you need guidance, you ask yourself, you're normally going to be guided towards the right way. You know, most people just don't ask themselves.
Granted, when I spoke to you that January 14th, and you was like, just feel it, just whatever you feel, do. And it was hard, like Keith said, because you don't know what it is to be. I don't even know how to be relaxed in a massage at all. Okay, until you touch my head. But But I've been practicing that into just waking up when I wake up. If I feel it, I do it. And I've been at peace. Like I still remember like, oh, there's a bill that you have to pay in like next week. You have to set that up already. Or, oh, you have
But
this
you're getting
appointment coming up.
reminders. You're getting reminders.
Yeah.
You see? And I
It's
used to
not
be
like,
like you. Like I
yeah.
used to be like, my calendar was like from the moment I wake up. I mean, here's when I go to the bathroom. Like like everything was, my calendar was like. And now I'm like, what calendar? What day is
Yeah.
it? What does that matter right now?
It feels so much better, so much lighter, and it's better for me, to feel this way. And it got to the point that I found this so weird, but it was fun. Meditation, yeah. I can't sit. Because my scoliosis, I cannot sit in this position. It actually hurts my back more. I could sit on a chair for a while, lay down. It's like my perfect meditation, even though I'll sometimes like be gone. But the awesomest thing that I did was I put some nice meditation music, whatever I find, right? And I ran for 30 minutes. I never would have seen myself running to meditation music. Like my music better be hype because I need to run, you know?
They call it the walking meditation, but you did the running meditation.
Exactly. So I'm like, that is so cool because I've done the walking meditation without any music, and this is the first time I put on music and actually ran with it. And I'm like, this is awesome. And the whole day I was like at peace, and anything that came to me, it didn't bother me at all. So I mean, like, okay, well, now that I know this, I am hoping that these little tips that I've been incorporating in my life. Exercise I need to do. It helps with the endorphins in my mind, anyways. Um, so just exercise of any kind, whether it's dancing, because I love to dance, or whatever. And I've also like I gave myself a long break on social media, believe it or not, because it does trigger me. Because then I go back to the comparing of my life and others, even though I know social media, you put really whatever that you want. Nobody really knows the real you. But it, even though knowing that, it still triggered me. So I took a break. So I've been taking breaks off um, social media. That helps me a lot.
I hope that when you
Uh,
take your break, though, you're trying to analyze why you're comparing.
yes, yeah. Like sometimes I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like it's a lot of little things, but I tell myself no, because it's things that I want. I've always wanted children. I see my friends who are having kids, like for nothing, and I'm here like, man, they don't even try. What happened? I don't drink, I don't smoke, and why am I not pregnant?
Yeah,
Not that I want one right now. Okay, I'm good.
right.
But it's just like stuff like that would trigger me because I've always been wanted to be my own mother. But I'm a mother. I'm a mother of many, you know. So I'm like, I'm good. Like I'm good now.
And the triggers right now are really strong because of everything going on. So right now it's like, what are you feeding your mind? Like where do you want to be mentally? How do you want to feel? So because of everything going on and so many people are waking up and they're not liking what they're hearing, so there's a lot of cognitive dissonance going on and people going, oh, they're crazy and this can't be real. So many people like getting all this information and that anxiety that they feel because they feel like that dark night of the soul that we've already kind of like been experiencing, they're now feeling it, and we're just having to kind of like see them feel it so we can kind of feel what they're feeling.
Mhm.
And that within itself is like, you need a break from it because you can't help
Mhm.
them if you're kind of drained from them.
Mhm.
So, but I think we need to wrap it up. What time is it? Yeah. So any last minute pointers for mental clarity? Meditation obviously is what we all talking about. Some books would be the habit loop.
Mhm.
I'll post the video of how the Bible is related to the mind so that it's a different way of looking at it. And then you have any videos that maybe anybody could watch?
Well, I literally saw the whole series, all three series of Morgan Freeman's talk about God.
Uh-huh.
Um, is on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it is phenomenal. At least for me, because it opened me up to just knowing what God is. You know what I'm saying? And the
See, I was scared of
interpretation.
listening to it because I was like, I don't want to listen to it and then see that he's misleading anyone. So I
Oh,
didn't look at it because I know
no,
that a lot of
it's
people are misleading
oh, it is
what it really is.
phenomenal because he you just have to see it because
Okay.
it opened me up. It got me to the point. Seeing that helped me understand where you coming from. Let's just say the understanding of just life and labels and religion. You know, all that together, like how that all was. So now I feel better because now I don't feel like I have to be set on one thing and believe in one thing. Like I could just love life.
Humans, life.
Yes, yes. So that definitely
Okay,
that
I'll
helped me a
check it
whole
out.
lot.
And anything else? No? All right. Well, it was a nice chat about the mind and
Yes.
everything else, the spirit. I think the next one's going to be on the spirit. If anybody wants to hop on with us about spirit, we'd love to have you on. So feel free to share, and I guess we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.